Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Clinic Gym Radio. I am your host, Dr. Josh Satterley, and I'm honored today to be joined by AlexHormozi. Hey Alex, how are you?
I'm good, man. Rocking and rolling on a Monday.
Yeah, good. I think you just live your life great, man. I don't know any other state that I've ever seen you in. So very excited for this interview. Alex, for those people who are listening and going, of course I know who that guy is. I've heard about him. I followed him since I had some early European deep cuts from him. But in all seriousness, can you let everybody know who you are and what the name of your business is?
Yeah, totally. So my name's AlexHormozi. I own Gym Launch. And what we do is we have a replicable model of getting gyms from zero to full capacity within 30 days. And we teach gyms how to sell high ticket and then higher ticket. High ticket being defined as 500 to 700 on first consultation. And then higher ticket being 2,000 to 3,000 on their first consultation. And so we layer these systems on the front end for acquisition, and then systems on the back end for fulfillment, and then resell and retention. And so we've done that with 1,000 gyms so far, and it's been fun.
So what Alex just said, the comparable is, I can't remember which Bible verse it is, but where Jesus turns water into wine and then has all the bread and fish for people. That's essentially what you do, filling a gym, and it's in 30 days. And that just being the start of the relationship is pretty close to a miracle. So I'm glad I had you on.
Thanks, man. It's been cool. A lot of people don't know do you mind if I tell how it all came to be?
No, I'd love it. I'd love the origin story.
Oh, there we go.
Keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Here, I'll cut my, here we go. So, in 2 minutes or less, the story of Gym Launch. So basically I had 6 gyms in Southern California. I ran those, I opened those all off of cash flow. So that was kind of part of the genius of the model. I got asked to speak at ClickFunnels 2 years ago because of that, because I was a brick and mortar owner. And I was like, yeah, I do these things where I signed a lease. I put $5,000 into a bank account. I promote it for 3 weeks. And I sign up 200 people at $500 a head. And I was like, and I make myself $100,000 in the first 3 weeks. And then I use that money, after a week in the first 3 weeks to buy all the equipment before the gym opens, so that all the gyms open cash flow positive without any money out of pocket. So it's pretty cool. And we were able to do that. I opened 6 in 3 years, and then sold those in November of 2016. And that was a year and a half ago, or a little bit more than that. Yeah, a year and a half ago. And the reason for that is because my mom got really sick, actually. And she was on the East Coast. So I flew over to the East Coast. And if anyone's had, a family member who's been sick, a lot of times you only have like a couple hours of visitation. So the rest of the day I wanted to keep myself busy without, you don't want to dwell on this stuff. And so a friend of mine, because he was back home, was like, hey, this guy is a CrossFit, he's struggling, he's a friend of mine. Do you think you could help him out? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And so the guy's name's Josh Price. I called Josh up and I was like, hey, I'm in town. Want some members? And I was like, what's your ad budget? And I was like, and I'll show you how I can help you out. I'll run it for free. No worries. You're just a friend of Brian's. And he was like, hey, I don't really have an ad budget. I'm really broke right now. And I was like, okay, no worries. I was like, I'll front the money and I'll run it for you. I was like, and then we can kind of do like a split on the money that comes in. When can you sell? And he's like, I can't. I'm training all the sessions. He's like, but I can meet people.
But this is the thing that people get into, right?
Like, but I'm going to have my 2-year-old with me. I hope that's cool. And I was like, I don't think that's going to work, man. So, anyways, I asked him if he had a t-shirt and a hat, and he did. And I ended up working Josh's front desk, and I was able to sell about 70 people in a little over a week. And so he had 70 people at his gym, recurring members. And in a week and a half, we signed up another 70 at $500 a head. So, we pulled in 35,000 in the first, week and change. And the way that I had structured the agreement then, since I was doing everything and I was fronting the money, was that I kept the front end and then he would keep all the recurring on the back end. And I was like, that was pretty neat. For me, I was like, that was super chill. I didn't have any overhead. I was like, that was great. I want to do more of that. And I was like, I wonder if any other gym owners would be interested in doing something like that. And it turned out there were some gym owners that were interested in doing stuff like that. And so we booked out 6 months in advance, 6 gyms a month for the next 6 months within a week and a half or 2 weeks of just kind of like letting the word go out. And so then I hired a sales team and trained them. And we flew out for months just going gym to gym and filling them up. And as that model became very tiresome on the sales guys, because they were on for 21 days a month on the road. And so,
so they would physically go to a location. I mean, physically fly out, sit at the front desk.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, we were still able to turn a profit with it, but it was a ton of overhead. It was a ton of logistics. And I was just like, there's gotta be a better way. And then as this started happening, my wife, Layla, we were like, maybe we'll just try and not have, so this is where I was like, because what happened is we had a little bit of resentment from the gym owners because, the average gym owner makes about $20,000 a year. And so, for us, some dude from the internet to fly out and then pull 50 grand out of your gym in 20 days, you're like, screw this guy.
That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah. And so there was a little bit of resentment there. And so I was like, this kind of sucks. I don't like the way this feels. And so, we started doing an online weight loss thing, for my wife. And we started doing about 1,000 a day within the first, 14 days. And then I was just going to take my sales guys, flip them over, and then just kind of exit the gym business quietly. But I still had gyms that were scheduled to launch the next month. And so I was like, I got to call them up and tell them we can't do it. So I called them up and I was like, hey, we can't do this for you. I'm really sorry. And they were like, dude, we need this. We're barely breaking even. Like, this is you need this launch. Like, you have to do it. And I was like, well, I actually don't, but, anyways, I said, you know what, I can show you how to do it. I was like, I won't do it for you though. I was like, but I'll show you how you can run it. I'll just kind of sell my secrets because I'm going to be getting out of the gym space. And then, first guy was like, okay, cool. How much? And I was like, X. And he was like, okay. And I was like, huh. And then I called the second guy, same conversation. How much? And I was like, X plus a little bit more. And he was like, yeah. I was like, huh. And then by the end of that day, I ended up doing I think it was 60,000 in that day in sales. And I was like, well, I looked at Layla and I was like, I think we're still in the gym business. I was like, I think we were just in the wrong gym business. So we were just doing it the wrong way. We had we had the widget. It was just I was trying to take all the work on rather than just, a lot of gym owners are happy to sell and work leads and whatnot if they have the system of getting them in the door. And so that's what happened, and Gym Launch was born, and
okay. Yeah. So I got to ask you, you've got incredible hair and a great mustache. Your wife is beautiful. And from the story, she sounds smart as well.
She is.
And you seem to have discovered, how to create water out of nothing, you seem to have everything perfect. So just for the credibility's sake, that all sounded great, but, tell us some lumps you took along the way, because this is, pretty soon here, people are going to think that, you just have midgets rubbing your feet as you fly private across the country.
All right.
And that we just don't want people with that idea of you.
No,
I
totally.
I know you have a tough chin from taking it on the chin a couple times. So,
so I'll just give you the first 6 months of the business. So I remember I sold my business. So my mom got sick, right? So I flew out, and I didn't sell my businesses because I wanted to. I sold them because it felt like it was the right thing that I needed to do at the time, because I had spent 6 months before that with my mom. I was on the East Coast. And so I literally left my gyms with nothing for 6 months. And then finally I was like, you know what, I should, and I'd already had offers on them. So I was like, I should sell these. So that was rough for me. And then with the savings from that, I went into another venture. And then that literally took all of the money that I had from that, and that tanked. And so the 6 years that I had run, or all the gyms that I had and all the money that I had gotten from them disappeared within 2 months of selling them, which was heartbreaking for me, because it's all the work that you just put into it. I went all in on the next thing, and then it just failed. And so that was hard for me. And then at that point, that's when I was like, well, what do I know how to do? I know how to fill gyms up. And that's kind of what started the next conversation of Gym Launch, being something to do, because it was the skill set that I had. And, but when we started Gym Launch originally, right as we began, our processing got shut down because I was using my gym's processing to process this online business, which is not the same thing. And so at the time,
and I'm going to guess they don't like going from, a $1,500 day to a $60,000 day in about 4.5 minutes. Like they get nervous when that stuff happens, right?
Yeah, they did. And so what ended up happening is I'd done all these, hardcore sales, and I had a sales guy who I was helping out. And so he had like $20,000 in commissions off of about $100,000 in sales his first month. And, but I never collected the $100,000 in sales, but I had to pay him the 20. And that was like literally everything that I had left after the other thing had gone away. So I started Gym Launch despite this, with no payment processing. So I had no ability to process payments, but I had already made the commitments, and we had already had all the flights and all the everything for 6 guys to fly out. And you're talking daily ad spend, hotels every day, rental cars every day. And then the commissions on top of that before we still have to make dollars. And
blood from a turnip, my man. Blood from a turnip at that point.
Yeah. And so then I looked at Layla and I was like, I have one business credit card. I was like, that's got about $100,000 limit on it. And I was like, this could go horribly wrong. I was like, but we've got about 1 month to see if this thing will work. And so
I just want to make sure when you said marriage, you really meant that, right, Layla?
Right. For richer or poorer.
Right. And by poor, we could mean $100,000 in debt within the next 31 days, right? That'd be cool.
As in below zero, right? Like homeless guy said nothing. We'll be $100,000 less than that guy.
By the way, what does the guest house at your parents' place look like? Is it nice?
Right. Well, yeah. And this is actually, when we flew there, we evacuated, just all sorts of stuff. But anyways, we evacuated the hurricane, actually. But I won't even get
the one in Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, because we lived there anyways. I won't even get into that. But
okay, let me put this in perspective. Alex is telling how bad things can get, and when you get evacuated from a hurricane, that's not worth bringing up because that's not monumental compared to the other things that occurred. Okay, we have good scale here.
Yeah, I mean, it was horrible because we got shut down with our processing when I owed everything on Christmas Eve, and I was meeting our parents for the first time, and so they were like, "He seems really stressed." I was like, "We have $3,000 a day that's about to be going out." I was like, on a credit card. I was like, and I was expecting about $80,000 in payments, which would have, floated most of this. So, anyways, it was just it was a stressful time, and then once we had a bunch of. We worked a lot in golf. We had 3 Asian players come in and we signed them all on like 10 or 15 grand packages, which is awesome. And, we started doing the money dance. And then because they were all billed to Asian credit cards, all bounced.
Yeah, it all bounced. And they don't, for those of you who haven't dealt with this yet, your payment company doesn't call and go like, hey, by the way, we really want to pay you, but here's some things that you might want to do to get that money. They just don't call you. And you're going, hey man, it's been, 11 days. What's up?
Yeah. Where's this deposit?
And they're like, yeah. So cool. Yeah. Go on. So there you are. You're paying out money out the nose. And, but at some point I know it worked because you were on stage recently at a big, for those who don't know ClickFunnels and what's the big, their big yearly, conference?
Funnel Hacking Live.
Yeah. And you guys were up on stage, right?
Yep. Yeah, we won the he up to this point had an award called the Chicama Club, which was if you'd done $1 million in sales, and then he came up with something called the X Award, which is if you did $10 million in sales. And so we were able to do 10 million in 10 months, which was pretty cool. In our first, as soon as we switched the model over from done for you to done with you.
And just out of curiosity, 12 months before that event happened 1 year previous, what had your total sales been online at that point? Just for people's scale.
So just for a timeline for people, I'll just give you 6-month increments. So November 2016 sold the gyms and then went all in on this next thing and went basically bankrupt, right? The next 6 months after that, we did the done for you service with selling guys all over the place, but we had chargeback issues. So we had some processing problems. We had the relationship with the gym owners was just like off. It didn't feel right. And then my sales guys' families were like struggling because they're like, dude, my wife said she's going to divorce me because I'm never home, all those sorts of stuff. From there, I said, you know what, we got to get out of this business. We got to change the model up because this is just not working. It was just the overhead was so enormous. And what ended up happening was we would be profitable for the month, but the next month, we would have chargebacks and refunds that we couldn't control. because we weren't controlling the fulfillment. And so the gym owner had no vested interest in like, and so we had two gyms just say, hey guys, just refund everything. You don't like, I can't handle this much volume right now. Like, you know,
I love that. I love that because the funny thing about gyms is for some reason they just, I mean, fulfillment is way harder than they underestimate the fulfillment piece.
Yeah.
You're not the only person I've heard that from. Like I've heard a bunch of different marketing consultants say like, I got this gym a bunch of leads, 80 people coming in their doors and, the gym owner's angry because it stresses them out so much. And it's like, like, be careful what you ask for,
Yeah, it happens. I could go into, there was a lot of things that I should take responsibility for in terms of not preparing. There's always two sides. But either way, that model wasn't working. And I think there's just something to do it with, if you're the one who's controlling the flow, it's your, you know what I mean? Like you talk to the person, you sold them, them, and they're your client. But if some other guy sells them, you don't know what that conversation was, even if it was exactly what it was supposed to be, you just weren't a part of it. And so it's just kind of like this human being who's like, hey, service me, you know what I mean? And you didn't get anything for it. So I think there's some psychological stuff there, but
yeah, because a lot of people underestimate sales is a connection, right? Like if you don't connect, you don't sell. So essentially when you close them on a high ticket item, like you're saying, it's because you had a lot of connection because they believe that you can solve their burning, painful desire. Right.
Yeah.
But that happens person to person. And so when you don't know anything about their burning, painful desire, then when they're just working out, you're like, oh, hey, Susie, it's cool. And she's going, don't you know anything about my high school class reunion that's happening? My 15-year reunion that's happening in 9 weeks.
Yeah. Right.
So
to follow your thought thing. So we went from bankrupt in November 2016 to a profitable business that each month we had to sell more than the last month because the refunds would start coming in. So it was like I started digging this bigger and bigger hole that the only way I could get out of it was by selling more the next month, but then that would give me a bigger hole to fill for the next. So it's just like, it was this horrible situation. I don't know if you can feel what that would feel like, but it's like going from bankrupt to now we have a hole that just continues to grow based on how much we sell. So it was like, this is not working.
Yeah, I mean that's leverage, right? Like people go, how did Mike Tyson go into bankruptcy? And he lives locally here in Las Vegas, where I'm based. And somebody was telling me that that at some point he started getting his clothes dry cleaned, and at some other point years later he had $150,000 of owed dry cleaning. Now nobody starts out with $150,000 bill, right?
Right.
But a few shirts put in the closet and go, hey, I'm going to clean these and clean these and clean these. It ends up being so crazy over that time. And what you're talking about is much bigger than just some $6 dry cleaning shirts, Right. Yeah. So, and by the way, you're the only person left to fulfill the, not fulfill it, but you're the person it's coming back on. So you carried all the stress and the solving of the problem, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think a lot of business owners can connect with that idea.
Are you a chiropractor or physical therapist working long hours, worrying about lower repayments and missing out on quality time with your family? You can double your income without working more hours by adding a gym to your practice. Clinic Gym Hybrid Solutions has a step-by-step guide that dramatically simplifies and speeds up the addition of a fitness center and its monthly recurring revenue. In just 6 months, you can be on your way to freedom. Visit clinicgymhybrid.com today for a free downloadable PDF and complimentary consultation to get you started. That's clinicgymhybrid.com.
I would love to do all day long about the story here because, well,
it's all good.
I guess it's super exciting to hear that you finally discovered like what actually works, right? Because you went through multiple iterations, some that put you into more debt, some that stressed you out, some that created employees who weren't happy, like all the different versions of it. But at some point you stumbled upon like, oh my God, when we combine peanut butter and chocolate, like we get something delicious. You tried everything else though. Peanut butter and chicken, peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, exactly.
So for those of the people who are listening, just to give you some perspective, we're talking to people that have probably a successful chiropractic business, and I'm encouraging them to add a gym because of monthly recurring revenue. And there are certainly lots of ways to lose money at the chiropractic practice. There's plenty of people that are doing that and, not taking much home. But I think that the gym is like the perfect upsell from that situation. But can you provide any like high level ideas of like what makes Gym Lodge so successful? And by the way, before we go any further, can you throw out a way for people to get a hold of you, Alex? If they're like, hey, I don't care about anything else. I want what this dude's selling. Give it to me.
Yeah. Just go to idon'thatemmoney.com.
That's the world's greatest URL ever.
As long as you don't hate money. Go check that out. There's probably 400 gym owners on there, who made $40,000 in their first 6 weeks with us. So
okay,
check it out and see if it's your brand of coffee and go from there. Yeah,
I like how you just casually. If you like $40,000 in 30 days, but if you don't, move on. No, but what do you think the biggest like kind of mistakes you see people doing? I mean, it's like, oh yeah, I can make $40,000. Like one thing I'm thinking already is like, I would tell everybody listening, do not sign up for this unless you have staff to help you. Because if you're a busy clinician and you're pumping people out and you think you're going to build a gym, I think you're going to just run yourself into the ground before it ever sees success.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing is that you're going to need someone our model is based on a group training model, and that's either large group or small group. And the main reason is because I've always been a believer. I mean, there's always two winners in the marketplace. You got the best and the cheapest, and I've never been the cheapest. So I was like, I guess you got to be the best. And then when you're the best, then you can feel good about it because you're actually solving people's problems. And in fitness, like you're not solving. They know they're not solving anyone's problem. It's $10 a month. They know you're not going to come. You know you're not going to come. Like it's just this mutual understanding that you pay them $10 to feel good.
And you as a business owner start resenting those people because they're taking time and resources and they're not giving you anything.
Right. Any person who actually speaks with you, who is not passively paying you $10 a month, has already taken up more than their $10 worth of time. Mm-hmm. So I just go in the complete other direction. And so I just give one concept, which is the main concept that everything that I kind of preach is based on. And it's a concept that we call client financed acquisition. And so that basically
slow that down so people can hear, because that's a big deal that I just want to make sure everybody understands.
Yeah. Client financed acquisition. And so what client financed acquisition means is that typically most businesses, brick and mortar or otherwise, have a marketing budget. They say we spend, this much a month in marketing, blah, 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 right? And then we hope to see a return on that in the next 2 to 3 months, right? And a lot of times they offer, and chiropractic the same way, right? They offer a low barrier to entry offer. Maybe it's a free adjustment or whatever, right? A free week, et cetera. And the issue is that they have to take money out of their pocket, spend it, and then cross fingers and hope that it comes back in lifetime value, right? And the honest truth is the reason that most gyms don't make money, even when they do the LBOs, is that their lifetime value is so low. And that's because they don't have very good fulfillment. And so the average gym only does 3 turns in like gym being a micro gym that's, price point between $100 and $200 a month. The average person staying for 3 months or less. That's the industry average. I'm not saying it's everyone, but that's the industry average. And so even when they do a $21 for 21 day promotion, right? They're getting, I'm a big numbers guy with this. So let's say you get 100 leads, right? For a $21 21 day promotion. And let's say you are better than average and you close 35% of those people over the phone at $21. So now you made $600, right? From those leads, let's say the leads cost you $15 each. Okay. So you spent $1,500, you made $600. So you're down $1,000 or $900, whatever on the front end, but you're like, it's okay. I'm going to get them on the back. Now the industry average on the back end is 1/3 of people who take LBOs are going to take the upsell to stay for continuity. So if you have 35 people who are now in your door, that means you're going to get 12, but let's just say that these guys are rock stars and they keep 16. It's because they're keeping half because they're balling, whatever. Right. So now you're at, 16 people at $150 a month and you're like, now I'm making my money back. But the problem is that it probably took you 2 weeks to run the promotion, 3 weeks, like 2 weeks to sell the promo, 3 weeks to fulfill on it, 21 days. Right now we're 5 weeks out. So we're about a month and a half from the original time. And during that month and a half, the industry average attrition rate is 10%. And so if you have the industry average 100 clients at your micro gym, then you lost 10 people, actually 15 people over that 6 week period. And what do you know? You're exactly where you started, except you lost your marketing money, right?
And you had to pay out the fulfillment of paying the coaches and the overhead of the
all
facility.
That stuff, and the commissions on the sales, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so you're net negative. And then the issue is, and they're like, I just can't get Facebook to work for me. And the thing is that all marketing is just buying eyeballs at the end of the day, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, direct mail, radio, whatever, right? You're buying attention. And so what we need to be able to do is be able to spend the most for that attention possible. And two ways to do that. One is if you have really enormous lifetime value that does stack. LBOs, it's not like LBOs don't work.
And LBOs, for those people who don't speak marketing lingo every day,
is a low barrier to entry offer, a discounted front end offer. You don't make money, and the assumption is that you're going to make up the money on the back end in lifetime value. Mm-hmm. That's what an LBO does. Mm-hmm. And that totally does work. And that's what every big box gym in the world runs off of that model. So like, for example, I consulted with LifeBridge, Wellbridge, LifeBridge, I can't remember. Anyways, all their gyms, they have $5 to $10 million facilities, and they have, I think, 30 or 40 of them. Anyways, I was talking to their COO and their CMO because we were talking about stuff, and it cost them about $150 to acquire a customer. All right. And that customer is going to pay them $29 a month for the next 36 months. So that's what their average lifetime value is. They know their numbers, right? And so for that gym, they pay $150, and it takes them 5 months to break even. And on their 6th month, they turn their first dollar of profit. The thing is that most gyms, most chiros, most brick and mortar small business owners don't have 6 months of marketing to front out. A, and B, their retention is not what that is. So those are the two issues that they have with the traditional model. So they're modeling another business that doesn't do the same style of fulfillment.
Yeah, I heard I heard an amazing consultant say the biggest enemy to small business is that you run out of cash before your successful model succeeds.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's basically it. And that's exactly what you just explained, right? If I go with a low barrier model, I'm going to run out of cash. And probably if I could have sustained that for 2 or 3 more months, I would have been successful. But that's just not the case in small business, right?
Right. Most guys go into it with 30, 40 grand saved up, and like, that's it. And that's including the build outs.
Yeah. I mean, guys named AlexHormozi do that all the time, right?
Right.
And blow it on.
Yeah. And so basically came up with a different way of playing the game. And so it is called client finance acquisition. And the reason that Gym Launch has been able to go from 0 to 1,000 gyms in less than a year. And for us, I mean, to give some relative scale here, and I don't say this to brag, but just to kind of show what kind of level it's being executed at. A front end program is $16,000, and our back end program is over 100. And we get 3 out of 4 gyms to take our back end offer because they make so much money on the front end. Right. And so our EFT I modeled my exact same gym model in my consulting model because it's the only one I know. You know what I mean? It's the only business model I know. Mm-hmm. So it works basically like this. The alternative, the new opportunity here, if you're looking at an opportunity switch, is that's the old way of doing it, is the LBO model. Low barrier front end, very cash intensive. And usually most people can't turn the corner on it. And they just keep riding this trolley.
Right. You just pray for rain and hope that it comes back on you, right? Like, do whatever you can. We lost you again, Alex.
For numbers' sake.
Hey, bud, we lost you there for a second. Can you repeat it? Sorry.
Yeah, totally. So just for numbers' sake, the new opportunity, the way we do it, the new school, is let's say you spend $100 on ads and you get 10 leads. Okay. From those 10 leads, given our numbers, you should close 2 of those people on a $500 or $600 offer on the front end. Okay. So day one, I spent 100 and I get 2 people to buy at $500. So I make $1,000. So I spend 100, I make 1,000. And day 2, we do the same thing. I get 10 more leads. I sell 2, make another 1,000. Day 3, same thing. And by day 4, that first $1,000 gets deposited into my account because that's how payment processing works, right? So if I sell them on Monday, it gets deposited on Thursday. And so that means that figuratively, for a gym owner or someone who is broke or cash constrained, which is virtually everyone, right, who doesn't have the model that's turned the corner and they're always waiting for the next month, it means they only had to really front out of pocket day 1, day 2, and day 3. And then from that point going forward, the actual marketing campaign itself finances the acquisition of future customers. And that's where client finance acquisition gets the term and the name that we call it, because your clients are literally giving you the money to then turn around and spend even more money on marketing. And that's why we can get gyms from 0 to full capacity so fast, because I'm not relying on the cash of the business owner. I'm relying on the profitability of the campaign.
Wow. And that right there is the crux of the issue, right?
Yeah. And so if you think, Dan Kennedy said, he who can spend the most to acquire a customer wins, right? That's always been the game. And that's true. But part of what doesn't take into account there is just cash flow for the business. So, and what, over what time period, you know what I mean? And so like for us, I got on stage at Funnel Hacker and everyone was kind of blown away by this, but we can pay about $4,000 per email because of what our lifetime value is per customer. And so at that point, it's not like Facebook ads don't work. It's just that your acquisition model isn't profitable.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, dude, I'll tell you, we spent a lot on Facebook ads and had a crappy system on the back end. And that is the most expensive way to run any marketing is when you actually spend.
Your system doesn't work.
Yeah. But when you pay for marketing, like don't do any marketing if you don't have a way to make the model work.
Right. And the hard part is is that a lot of owners, clinic owners, gym owners, et cetera, is that a lot of times you have to test to figure out if it does work. And that's why testing is expensive. And that's why information is expensive, is because it comes from years of testing, of failure to finally get it to work. So anyways, that's the exact same model that we use to finance Gym Launch. Gym Launch is our 6-week challenge. I'm using quotes here of how we get someone results really fast. And then Gym Legacy is how we get you out of the gym, as fast as possible. So it runs with value. And then it continues to get to about 110,000 a month. That's our business model. And so people buy Gym Launch, and then we have enough money on the front end to continue to acquire as many customers as we want. And so the bottleneck for me has always been the business, which is what the bottleneck should be, not my lead flow, right? Because if you can continually acquire customers at a profit, then the inflow, the only limit is just how many people can I sell? How many people can do customer service? How many people to have in operations? How can I do onboarding faster for my employees, et cetera? Those are the limits, and that's what the limits of the business should be.
Wow. And that, I love the fact that we never talked about equipment. We never talked about the space. We never talked about any of those things that people think are the limits to how to have a successful gym. Because I send out emails all the time and people are like, oh, well, I'd love to have a gym. I just don't understand how to train people. I don't understand how to run one. And what you're saying is you basically have helped people discover that along the way, but done it with some money in the bank so that they're not trying to train their staff while they're scared to death about money, not trying to purchase equipment while they're scared.
100%. 100% is I have to get someone out of danger zone to get them above water to breathe. Because
people don't understand the different level of thinking when you have some money in the bank, when you have that recurring revenue coming in, the business choices you make are so much clearer and so much better. And you can look 3 years out, not 26 days out until you collect on something.
Payroll, until you owe payroll, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
and you are changing lives, brother. This is awesome. You are changing lives.
No, I appreciate it, man. Any other questions in terms of how we do what we do?
Yeah. Tell me when you guys are going to start on to Cold Fusion and, when you'll have that problem licked too.
Oh yeah. I was like, is that a business model? I was like, what's he talking about?
It's a new recovery.
I thought you were talking like cryotherapy or something.
Yeah, exactly. No. Well, so for people who are looking at the gym model, so they're looking at starting a gym, adding it to their clinic. Do you have any other, high level suggestions?
Yeah.
I don't know, space wise, equipment wise, trainer wise, like who would you hire first? Anything that you think sticks out repeatedly?
Yeah. So the gym model that I espouse within basically the model that I preach, what I work, it has two levels. It's a bifurcated model. So you have a large group base where 80% of your customers are, and then you have a small group upsell, which is where 20% of your customers are. And the 20% is usually 3 or 4 times as expensive as the 80%. So the number one mistake that most gym owners will make, and it's probably the same with Chiro, is that they have 2 packages, one that's $100, another one that's $130. There's no point in doing that. If you're going to have 2 packages, the second upsell should be 3 to 5 times as expensive as your base level offer.
And you think that's just a principle that should hold true everywhere?
Yeah, it virtually does. It's a slack adjuster because 20% of customers will always buy more provided you did a good job because they're more affluent customers and they're willing to pay more for more. right?
Okay.
They want more service. They want a higher level. They want more personalized experience, whatever. And so it depends on the size of the space that a chiropractor is working out of. If someone's got, it's really just how much floor space do you have? I would probably recommend if I were a DC and I had, let's say, 1,200 square feet, is that probably an average for what a lot of these guys have in offices?
Yeah, 12 to, I don't know, 2,200, 2,400 square feet.
Okay, right. So I would probably be skipping out on the large group and just be running a small group. Small group.
Love it. That's what we advocate. Yep.
Yeah, it's just 1-on-4. Okay. And from a price standpoint, it should be $500 to $700 a month for 3 sessions a week for 1-on-4. And the number one thing that you want to do when you're starting out is don't overcommit in terms of sessions. Start it slow, have 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 3 days a week. It's 6 sessions a week, costs you $20-$25 to fulfill each one, right? All in with payroll, taxes and everything. So you're looking at maybe, at most $50 a day times 3, we can $150 a week. And if you can just have 4 people in the morning and 4 people in the afternoon, and each of those, so now you got 8 people that you're fulfilling on at 500 to 700, you're adding 4,000 to whatever, to 5,600 a month in recurring revenue just from 3 days a week with 1 session in the morning, 1 session at night.
Love it.
So it's chill. You know what I mean? It's a very high profit margin business. I don't like one-on-one because I think you can sell and retain the same amount with 1-on-4 as you can with 1-on-1.
And the psychological research says people do better in groups anyways. They won't push themselves as hard individually as they will in a small group.
Totally. Yeah. I'm all for, I literally think that there's virtually no reason to do one-on-one training. It doesn't financially make sense for the business almost ever. Unless you're I keep trying to make an argument.
We advocated for our clients when they're transitioning somebody from the clinic to the gym, because we're selling them on this idea too. Like, we're going to continue your care and not let you get re-injured. And so, but that's only 4 sessions at a max between the clinic and the gym. And then they should go into small group training.
Yeah. And that's totally. And so, that's it. It's a really simple model. It's not hard. The biggest thing that most chiropractors will be afraid of is asking for money. And that's really just selling and learning how to sell effectively and selling for weight loss. And I'm sure, Josh, you help with them with that anyways, but you usually, you're going to want to sell at a price point especially if you want to market for it between $2,000 and $3,000, usually for like a front end program as an acquisition process.
That's awesome.
That way you can outspend everyone. That's the thing, is we're always able to outspend all of our competition. So whenever people are like, Facebook's raising its prices by 30%, we're like, okay, we'll go from making 60 to 1 back to making, whatever 30% less than that is. I don't know.
And by the way, the bottom 20% of our competition on Facebook just bailed, right? Because they're scared.
Right. Yeah.
So it's even better for you.
Yeah, it really, because everyone gets priced out of the market. This is the game. That's how it is. So,
let me just wrap up the 3 big takeaways here. Number 1, marry somebody smart and beautiful. That'll stick with you. Number 2, lose a bunch of money on the front end so you can really refine your business model under pressure, right? Pressure makes diamonds. And number 3, let your clients finance your acquisition cost.
That's the game.
And if you do 3 of those, you might end up treating the evacuation out of Hurricane, what was that, Irma? I can't remember the name of the hurricane. As just another
Maria. Irma was the first one that missed, I think, and then Maria was the one that smashed.
Yeah, and you said it's not even worth talking about here. So those will just be tiny little blips on the radar when you escape a natural disaster. When your life is as incredible as AlexHormozi's is. That's pretty amazing. Anyways, Alex, can you still hear me, bud?
I can hear you.
Cool. Well, once again, Alex, if people want to get a hold of you, they're enthralled, they want to live this life and achieve those dreams, how can they reach out to you?
Just go to iDon'tHateMoney.com and look through that page. If it looks interesting to you, click the button that says, make all these testimonials stop, and please just hop on the phone. And our guys don't sell on the first phone call, so they're not going to ask you for money. If you just want to chit chat about how it could potentially work for you, we try. Like, the reason we have such a high success rate is that we just make sure that we only take people that we know their model will work with our model based on their square footage, based on their staffing, et cetera, so that we can just always have a winning record.
Okay. By the way, just as an aside, do you have any recommended square footages where things kind of break over quickly and you see success? You just throw that out as the last tip. Like, is it worth, in my mind, I don't think it's worth adding less than 1,500 square feet, because I think you'll outgrow it if you have a decent marketing plan as open gym space. But what do you see with your guys? You're probably going to tell me a minimum of 12,000 square feet.
Yeah, no. We can run the model. So I'll just say, all in, if you have like 2,500 square feet, 2,500 to like 3,200 is kind of like the sweet spot, in my opinion. Okay. That allows you to have large group and small group, and bathrooms, one front desk area, and then like a private selling room. And that's especially if it's like a rectangular space with not too much, crap in there. That solves just about everyone's problems.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. That's funny. We see that as well. So I think that, I hate when people start with 1,000 square feet. I'm like, oh, it's going to get tight so fast. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad to be cash flowing like crazy, but moves take time and money. So it's tough. All right. Well, Alex, this has been awesome, man. I really appreciate all the value you've supplied our listeners. And once again, if you're interested in Alex's program, go to idon'thatemoney.com and just make that a tacit agreement with yourself about not hating money, and Alex will walk you through the rest. And I guess that's it, man. Congratulations on all your success, by the way, man. You're doing great things, and I'm glad you're sharing it with people, because you could have kept it for yourself, but I think, you're doing a great thing by empowering others.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I could have gone on a whole tangent about this, but we're big on teaching people to fish. I'm not a big fan of marketing agencies in general. I think that everyone should learn. You need to learn how to make it rain for yourself. No one's going to care about your business as much as you are, and I don't think anyone has the right to control that for you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Well, on behalf of AlexHormozi, this is Dr. Josh Satterley saying, go out there, maximize your license, and live the life you've dreamt of. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Clinic Gym Radio. If you're ready to double your profit without working longer hours, please visit clinicgymhybrid.com and find out how easy it is to get started on your path to freedom. That's clinicgymhybrid.com.